Today's message is brought to you by the OJs, backstabbers. They smile in your face, all the while they want to take your place. Backstabbers. Backstabbers. Nah, y'all. Today's message is more so inspired by, one, the realization that even though there's a lot of people out here that are waiting for you to show up in the way that God has called you to show up, there's still a lot of people out here who are waiting for you to fail, and your failure will bring them some type of happiness. It doesn't make it okay, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge and identify what those type of people are. Acknowledge and identify it as what it is, which is envy. We are all on a journey to finding ourselves. We are all on a journey of the self-discovery, awakening and ascending, and really just trying to create some type of self-sustaining lifestyle that we don't have to run away from, or at least most of us are. So along that journey, you will realize that even though there's a lot of people that are out here rooting for you and that are waiting for you to show up in the way that God has called you to show up, there's also a good amount of people out here that are also waiting for you to fail, and they're waiting for you to give up, and they're waiting for you to have something go wrong so that they can either be like, I told you so, or they can be like, ha, I knew it. I knew it couldn't happen. I knew it won't go happen. And then they could keep going on about their fears and projections. You know what I'm saying? Either way, that ish don't have much to do with you. The best thing that you can do is to stay focused on yourself and to keep extending yourself grace and extending the people in the world around you grace. Now, I don't know if you've experienced this, but know that as I talk about these things, these are based off of my experiences, things that I have personally been reflecting on over the last few days and weeks and months and years. Things that I have projected, things that have been brought up within myself, that have given me the space to be able to reflect, to discern, and to decipher between what is and what is not. Now, I have gone through, a couple of periods of experiencing feelings of not being where I'm supposed to be, feeling like I'm looking at the world around me and comparing myself to certain people or certain things or certain activities or environments that I feel that I'm supposed to be in. And it's caused me to be a little bit harder on myself and to not honor and acknowledge my journey for what it is and where I'm at in my journey, versus just allowing myself to be and to just be where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I've said this once or said this twice, but I feel like I've said it a million times. A comparison is the thief of joy. Like, the moment you look to the person beside you or the person above you and you start comparing yourself, you take away from what it is that you're supposed to have in the lane that you're supposed to be in. And it's really detrimental to the soul, the mind, the body, and the ego when you compare yourself, because you put yourself in unnecessary boxes and take yourself out of lanes and spaces that you're naturally just supposed to be in. When it's truly for you, it will flow and there will be little to no resistance. And more so, no resistance, more than little. But anywho, one thing that I have realized on my journey of choosing to show up as the person that I want to be and want to, truly inner body, is that it has brought a lot of jealousy and envy around. And before I could, one, acknowledge the envy or the jealousy within others, I had to first look at myself to see, am I showing signs of this around or in anything? First, I realized that maybe there were some things in my life that I was feeling jealous of. And it also made me realize, well, what is jealousy to me? For me, jealousy was that feeling of the fears and emotions that stem from thinking that something that I already had could be taken away from me. When I reaffirm myself that what is for me, and what God has created in my lane is my lane, and what going on the side of me and above me has nothing to do with what's going on right in front of me, it created it unlocked a whole different thing inside of my head. So I realized that, but then I had to think like, Well, what is envy? Now, according to Aristotle, envy is pain at the good fortune of others. He states that envy isn't just the pain at the good fortune of others. It's also when we feel pleasure in the misfortune of others. So something tragic happening to somebody, and instead of you just allowing them to experience their moment without judgment, you decide that you feel happy and you feel like that's something that they deserve, or just feeling some type of peace and feeling like something good has been done based off of somebody else's loss. You know, that can also be envious. Now, I had to really sit down and think about what that was and what that would look like, you know what I'm saying? And why we would do that. For me, I feel like we envy because we get in a state of reflection where we reflect inwardly and realize that though you may feel like you're equal with somebody, you may still feel a sense of inadequacy. And that feeling of inadequacy causes a resentment within yourself. And outwardly, you start projecting jealousy. And then you start to feel like, well, because I don't have it, they don't deserve it either. And then you create some type of feeling of envy. And yeah. Some signs of envy that I've experienced in my life would be like experiencing that sense of false praise. I don't know if you've ever been around people or you told somebody something that really mattered to you, something that you were very proud of, something that really made you feel good, and you like, yo, this happened or I accomplished this, and they're like, oh, congratulations, you know, and you looking and you like so wound up in the moment that you may or may not be paying attention to the fact that though they clapping, they like not really clapping in joy and true love and really being happy in what it is that you have done, you know. I feel like my favorite reminder with that is eyes won't lie, but the words will, baby. You know, if we actually take the time to really look at somebody in the face, look at their eyes and really look and see how they feel, you'll be able to learn a lot more than you really think. Another sign of envy that I have realized is the idea of people wanting to mirror you, whether it be your words, your sayings, or your clothing, or your business ideas or something. You ever find yourself talking about certain things and doing certain things, and then next thing you know, somebody else is doing it too, but your name ain't on it, or they didn't give you no credit or even acknowledge the fact that y'all just had the conversation about it, or the fact that you were doing what you were doing before, you know? A lot of times envy can show up in that way, you know. It don't take nothing or 2 seconds to be like, thank you, shout out to you, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even have to do it publicly, but people won't do it publicly or privately, but they will reflect you and you will see a lot of you in them without any real, no real explanation. And not that anybody owe you an explanation, but you know, if you know, you know. Another sign of envy is if you're sharing things, or you're in an environment, or you're in a space, or you're not in a space where people are talking about you and they're really like feeling very positive and uplifting about you, and out of nowhere, here comes somebody saying something about what you done did in 2017, or come along talking about something that they feel personally on their heart, to have people go against what it is that you stand for, you know? There's always that one person that has to come along and be like, well, she did-a-da-da-da, or he did-a-da-da-da, not realizing that happened 10 years ago, and everybody deserves space to be able to redeem themselves. I'm sure that same person will want grace, but them lacking that ability to extend grace to you, they just go out here and just badmouth you to anybody so that they can create some type of false image of you, so that somebody else can feel slightly or maybe possibly see you outside of who you truly are. And honestly, I've experienced those type of situations. I have to remind myself that that's their flaws and their insecurities and the things that they're not confident in within themselves that they're trying to bring out. Another sign that I feel like is a sign of envy is if you always find yourself in some type of silent or awkward, energetic, spiritual, physical competition with somebody. Life, like I said, when you realize and you accept that your lane is your lane, you don't really have any real desires to go moving around to other people's lane, or looking over there to see what they doing and looking over there to see what they doing. Because when you are moving in purpose, you will be focused on your lane. You will be focused on what's in front of you, because you know that what God has placed in front of you, what the universe wants you to experience, you can't experience that if you over there on this lane or you on this lane, you know. So when you find yourself around people who are always secretly in competition with you or outwardly in competition with you, they're constantly saying and doing little things to try and nitpick or to bring you out of your character, or to even inquire about what it is that you're doing or how you're doing it, but not in a way that comes with genuine love and concern or the intent to grow or to really build. That's the sign. Sometimes they may say something and they might slip up and say it, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to listen and to be able to discern between what's real and what's not, man. When you listen, when you take the second to listen, instead of always trying to talk, you will hear a lot more and you will hear a lot differently, you know. People who are in competition with you, they will always end up telling on themselves. And I think my last one would be like intentionally leaving you out and also gossiping behind your back. When people choose to talk behind your back and leave you out of things, and they don't talk to you, but they talk to everybody else about you, or they ain't got nothing to say to you directly, but they got everything to say to you, to everybody else. Yeah, that's an envious person, you know, because most people don't want to go to jail these days. So most people not out here looking to start fights and, you know, have to whoop a mother lover's butt and stuff. So it's like, it shouldn't be too hard to be able to say, hey, we need to talk. Let's have some communication, you know, because I'm feeling a way. But truthfully, a lot of people, they fear what their own shadow brings up within themselves. And just as when I reflected to think about what envy and jealousy could possibly look like within myself and what I defined it as, when you have to sit down and think about that on the opposite side, it can be very uncomfortable and it can be very unsettling, because most people don't want to even accept that they have an ego or a shadow, let alone accept the fact that they could be haters, or let alone that they could be envious or jealous or whatever. Many times our fears and our traumas and just things that we've gone through in life will cause us to not be who we're supposed to be, because we've gotten stuck on something that we were supposed to accept and release and learn from. And those things can cause us to feel inadequate. Those things can cause us to compare. Those things can cause us to fear. And in those moments, we create resentment, and we create these different things and these different ways of showing that we are really just envious, which is just really a hurt and a feeling that is within. I think it's very important to ultimately be willing, as where not only you cause your own suffering, but where you may be projecting your fears that exist inwardly, outwardly to other people. If you find yourself in any type of circumstances where people are being envious, the most important thing I could say is to just not take it personal. Remember that people act is a reflection of them. It has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? You can't control how people are gonna react to you. You can't control how people feel when you come in a space, you light up a room. All you can really do is stay authentic to yourself, continue to be that catalyst for change. Some people need you to shine in the way that you're shining, so that they can realize just what they're projecting, so that maybe they can heal. You know, everything may not feel comfortable all the time, but it's always sent to teach you some things and to bring out something that will help you grow, you know. And so when you experience these type of people, just extend them grace, give them compassion, and maybe try to relate to a time where you may have felt just a little bit insecure, or you found yourself comparing yourself to someone else, and think about how that made you feel and the different feelings and thoughts that arose from it. To remember how debilitating and how tight and how heavy that was, you know. And think about how it felt when you decided not to let it go, and then think about how it feels now, you know. And just remember that feeling back then, they still holding on to that. And you don't desire to be back in that space. So don't allow nobody to take you back to that space. But just honor and acknowledge people where they at, and know that anybody who is envious, they just need to step their game up. But that ain't got nothing to do with you. You continue to be you, keep shining. And remember that there's someone out there that's truly waiting for you to show up how you supposed to, because they need you just like you need you, you know? But what you don't need is the BS, and you don't need to be caught up in the things that don't matter. And some of the things that don't matter are the things like envious and jealous people. They're just sent to teach and for you to reach, so that they can also see that everything that they're rejecting within you already exists within. And if they just took a little bit of time and focus on themselves, it'd be a whole different ball game. Well, that's my 2 cents for today. I hope this video was decent. You know, I'm sure a lot of y'all have experienced envious people and jealous people, and I'm sure it didn't feel good. But always remember to take a second and to really think, why? Why is this happening? Why are they acting this way? What is this trying to teach me, you know? People can't get to you unless you let them in. So if you got to close your doors, man. You can either accept or you can ignore. And yeah, that's all I have. So wholeness, balance, and love to you. Goddess Lenexa signing out. And if you made it to the end of this, I appreciate it. Drop a heart or some type of something so that I know you're here. Okay? Thank you.